Infinity Pool is a movie written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, David Cronenberg's son. I did not know this when I decided to watch this film. My sister-in-law wanted to watch a film, a horror movie, so we picked this. We picked another movie before it. I'll talk about that movie another time. But I wanted to talk about this because I liked it when the first time I saw it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. But the more and more I think about it, I'm like, what? I don't get the real purpose of this movie. But that doesn't, like the ending, but that doesn't take away anything from the actual film itself. So the movie's about this couple that goes on vacation to this resort in some fictional country where you have to stay in the resort because outside the resort, the country's wild and crazy. So James and his girlfriend M are at this resort, and they run into this other couple played by Mia Goth, Gabby, and this other guy who we'll just call Other Guy because I remember catching his name. It doesn't matter because they're irrelevant. The main two people in this film is just Alexander Skarsgård as James and Mia Goth as Gabby. They're just the two stars of this film. So anyway, they meet this couple. This couple introduces themselves, asks them out to dinner, and then they decide to hang out. They're kind of like, there's this cute little couple that's kind of bored. That's Alexander Skarsgård's character and his girlfriend. They're cute, but they're boring. And so this couple is adventurous and wild and trying to make them, trying to, I guess, corrupt them. And Mia Goth does this by giving him a handy while his girlfriend's not looking, and he's just let it happen. He's like, oh my God, and this is probably like the coolest thing that's ever happened to this guy. So anyway, they get drunk, and he decides later that night he'll drive home. And as he's driving home with everybody in the car, he hits somebody. He just murders somebody. The rest of the guys are telling him, the people that he's with, don't worry, we got this, don't worry about it, because this country's crazy, We can't do this. We just got to sneak our way back into the hotel or whatever. The next morning after they killed this man, the police are there, the authorities are there. And they tell them, well, in our country, you murdered this man, and that the result of this is death. You have to be executed. But if you have money, you could get away with it because we'll clone you, and then your clone has to be killed by the firstborn of the person you killed. So they decide to do that because they're wealthy. They're super wealthy. So they pay for this clone to be made. And that was the cool part and interesting part. But because throughout that time, at least me and my sister-in-law were thinking, is he the original person or is he a clone? Like, did they kill the original and he's the clone and he doesn't know that he's the clone? Which they actually bring up later on when they're partying, and so basically this group of people knew about this entire time. These other people at the resort, and they introduced James and James because his girlfriend decided after this she's like, we got to leave, we got to get out of here. But he lost his passport, he can't go anywhere. So Gabby and them just decide to bring James in and just corrupt the shit out of him and just make him crazy a little bit. And you find out that this was all a ruse that Gabby saw him and his girlfriend and said these two are losers, we can corrupt them. But James is such a loser, they didn't even have time to do anything to plant it so this could happen. He did it on his own. It wasn't even set to go off that night. So it's interesting, it's wild, it's crazy. Again, I just don't understand the actual meaning of it all in all, because spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, James gets his passport back after all this wild and crazy shit happens. And I'm talking about they cloned him about 3 or 4 times. They just mentally break this man. And his girlfriend left him early on, and then when she finds out that he killed that they killed other people again, and they paid to, he paid, it's like a drug. It ends up becoming like a drug. So she leaves him, and he's like, yeah, go to daddy, because her father's the one, she's very wealthy, that has money, and he's a writer, so he has money. But it's like they're all like, okay, everything's done. After they tortured this guy, they shot this guy, They chased him. They just made this guy suffer, go through hell after he was a part of the, wild and having sex and doing all these crazy things and enjoying himself. Then they just tortured this dude and break him down into nothing. That they're like, okay, we just did this to whatever, and he's like, they all like talking normal, like they're going back to their regular lives and how boring it is. And they do this every year. They travel, they pick up a couple, and they do this to them. And they're like, we hope to see you again next year. And then he was just like standing there like nothing, and then he just broken. He's a broken man. And instead of going back home to his boring life, because he looks at the airport and he looks at all the people there, and he's just like, how can I return back to normal after all the shit that I just went through? He goes back to the hotel where nobody, or the resort, where nobody's there. They're closed, and he's just sitting there by himself. So I don't know necessarily what that meant. So I guess if you're out there, if you people are out there, like, well, for me, it was just that he was broken down. He can't go back to his regular life, or maybe he doesn't even know if he should. I don't know. If it is his life anymore, I don't know. I really can't grasp that ending. But other than that, I enjoyed the movie a lot. I will say, it is Alexander Skarsgård's movie and it is Mia Goth's movie. But if it wasn't for Mia Goth, I don't think I would enjoy this. If any other actress, I don't think could have pulled it off. And Mia Goth, I highly, highly enjoy her. She's a weird kind of attractive. I find her very attractive for some reason, even though I'm not sure if she shaves her eyebrows or her eyebrows are just really, really light. I love her in Pearl. I loved her in X. I just recently saw Pearl. I saw X when it came out, and I loved her in that too. One of the best female horror actresses out there today. I hope she gets more roles. She was great in this, and she's just always plays the crazy fuck perfect. If they were to do, because I believe not this movie. There's another movie. Okay, I don't want to talk about that. Well, there's another movie I watched where the writer is the writer of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of the new ones, the 2022 one or 2021. I don't know, but he wrote that, and I'm like, if they were to really do one like kind of like the game, the new game that came out, where they have the sissy character, and when she's running around, I believe she sings the song from the Manson family. So if they were to incorporate that in a character, I think, or have a new character, female character, be a part of the family of Leatherface's family, I think Mia Goth would be perfect for it. She's amazing. She's absolutely phenomenal. Hell, she could be even the victim, but I'd much rather see her as a crazy fucking family member. I like her a lot. She's great. Anyway, all in all, what can I give this movie? I recommend you watch it. It is bizarre, and I have not seen any of Brandon Cronenberg's other films. I hear it's kind of repetitive, some of the stuff he does in this to his other films. So since I haven't seen his other film, I can't necessarily concur with that assessment. All I could say is, for this as an individual movie, the first time I'm seeing anything that he's done, he's very much like his father. I was very intrigued with this movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's interesting too, the whole cloning idea. I enjoyed this for what it was. There's a lot of things he does in this too that I like. The masks were great. Those are some of the coolest fucking masks I've seen. I was like, oh my god, I want one of those masks. I'm not sure which one. I think one with the holes in the face. If I was to rate this, I guess I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think that's fair. It's just, it would have been maybe higher if I reviewed it as soon as I saw it. Maybe I would have been like, 4 out of 5. But 3.5 out of 5 stars, I think, is decent. This is just, Mia Goth really elevates it. And it's really just there's no other, we're not finding out any of these other characters. They're just there, and they're just crazy just to be there. Like, they have no personality. They're just there. So this whole movie is about this one guy, and he kind of goes along with it so easily. Like, they don't have to trick him and break him down into this. He gets addicted to it right away. And he doesn't show himself to have an addictive personality prior to this. So, not even his girlfriend's in this that much. Who's the actress? Cleopatra Coleman. She's not even in this movie that much either, And if you know what the actual ending was trying to convey. If it's just was it just was I correct? He's just broken and that's it. Like he's broken. He's morally fucked and he can't go back to the real world because I don't know. I don't know. I don't get the ending so much of that part. But a lot of these movies lately, the endings are terrible. So this ending brought it down at that point because I don't know. No, I don't know. I think it's really the other characters. Not there's nothing really going on for this movie besides Mia Goth and him, and he's not written very strongly. And so yeah, really Mia Goth gives us. He's not terrible, but you know, he just. I don't know. Mia Goth is the shit though. 3.5 out of 5 stars is really because of her performance. She's great. You know, so that's that. Anyway, let me know what you thought about this movie down below. Let me know what you thought about the ending down below. And I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.